Hey everyone, it's Lila from Silverbirth, and today we are talking about the Diva Cup. Let's get to it. Okay, so what is the Diva Cup? It is this little thing. See that? It is a menstrual cup made from health-grade silicone. It contains no chemicals, no bleach, no plastic, no BPA, no nothing. Very safe. Basically, when your period starts, you insert it. There's a couple ways to do it. Easiest way is you push down like that, and you just shove that up, and then let it twist. When your period starts, you insert it, and then just leave it in there. It can last up to 12 hours, and you remove it as needed. You empty it out into the toilet, and then just wash it in the sink with warm water, and then just put it right back up. Then after every cycle, just boil it for like 10 minutes in a pot of boiling water on the stove, and you're good to go. Very easy to take care of and really great to use. I love it. I've been using it for 2 years. This is a new one, but I've been using it for 2 years, and I am not going to go back to pads and tampons. No way. It comes in 2 sizes, the pre-birth and the post-birth size. This is pre-birth because I have not had a baby yet, so it's a little bit smaller than the post-birth size. There's a little stem on the end here that you can actually snip off if you feel it sticking out of you. It depends how low your cervix is, how long your vagina is on the inside, and yeah, if that sticks out, you can just snip it right off. And this is a little bag that it comes in, so you can just pop it right in there if you ever need. I don't ever need to use the bag. It's just always at home. Okay, so a big question is, why would you switch from pads and tampons to this reusable thing? A lot of people think it's kind of gross, but if you get past that initial thing of thinking it's gross, it's really not that gross. It's your own body, and you should be comfortable with it. But it's not for everyone. It's worth a try though. The biggest reason for me for switching was the health benefits. Like I said, the Diva Cup is made from healthcare grade silicone. It has no chemicals, no BPA, no dyes, no plastic, as opposed to pads and tampons, which are bleached using chlorine, and you're putting all of that chemicals and everything next to and inside of super sensitive part of your body, which is not meant to absorb anything unnatural like that. So it just doesn't make sense to me to use that, and this is just, there's nothing about this that can harm you. There's also no risk of toxic shock syndrome. There's been no links between toxic shock syndrome and the Diva Cup, as opposed to tampons, which is how you can get toxic shock, which is a bacterial infection, which can happen by leaving a tampon in for a long period of time, or for it scratching the inside of your vagina and bacteria getting in, and that just won't happen with this. The next biggest reason is environment. The average woman uses 18 pads or tampons per period, and roughly like 12,000 in her lifetime. So if you think about it, all of that garbage just ends up in a landfill, and half the population menstruates and uses these products. So like millions, like so much of these pads and tampons are just like ending up in landfills, not breaking down for a really long amount of time, and it's like, that's terrifying. As opposed to the Diva Cup, which you need to replace every like year or 2 years, depending on what type you get and how well you take care of it. So it just, that's like a huge benefit to using it. Another big reason for switching is money. So this costs you about $40, and it lasts for a year or 2. As opposed to pads and tampons, you will be saving about, by switching, you would save about $100 a year, and that adds up to like thousands of dollars throughout your menstruating life. So even right there, it's like, why would you not switch? And there's a lot more benefits too, one of which is because it's clear and you collect the blood, you can see how much you bleed. I don't know if you can see here, but there are little lines that tells you how much. So this holds up to 30 milliliters. And it said that the average woman loses between 30 to 60 milliliters per period. But if you are like me or other women, I have PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, so I do have heavier periods. I lose a lot more blood than the average woman, and some women like me do lose 80 or more milliliters per period. So you can actually see how much blood you are losing, which is actually pretty cool because you don't get that with pads and tampons because it all gets absorbed. It's practically leak proof, and I say practically because once again, if you do have a very heavy flow like me, I have leaked a couple times with it, but nowhere near as much with pads and tampons. And you can wear it at night, so you don't have to worry about sleeping on top of a towel or sleeping in an uncomfortable position to keep the pad in place. And you can't wear tampons at night because it's not recommended because of toxic shock. So this, like, you can wear it all the time. There's nothing you can't do with it, except you can't have sex with it, obviously, because it's right inside your vagina, same as a tampon. Some women say that they have less cramps when using a Diva cup and a lighter flow, and I've experienced that for myself too. Your period just is not as heavy or as painful with it, which that's definitely a huge plus. And it also doesn't fuck up your pH levels in your vagina, so you're not going to get any weird infections. And sometimes, like, tampons have been linked to infections. Same with pads, because you're keeping something like rubbing against your very sensitive parts for a really long time, and that can lead to infections, and this just, it doesn't. And it is also safe to use with an IUD. I asked my doctor about this when I got the IUD because I told her, oh, I use a Diva cup, like, are you sure the suction can't pull the strings out or anything? And she was like, no, you just can't use it for the very first time when it's like newly inside, but once the strings coil up, it's totally fine to use. I haven't heard of any cases of the suction pulling the IUD out. Like, I'm sure it has happened, maybe very rarely, but it is safe to use if you do have an IUD. And they also last a really long time. I know some types say they last like 10 plus years or like 8 years, and I think it's almost too long, because just thinking of what it is and what it does, it's a personal hygiene product. So it's recommended that you change it every like year or so. The one I have right now, I've had it for 2 years and it's been absolutely great, but now I can tell it's starting to deteriorate a little bit, hence why I bought a new one. This is unused, don't worry. But yeah, I'm very excited to switch it up because I love using it. It's great. I do not want to go back to using pads and tampons. This just makes way more sense to me, and I really recommend it for everyone. I have one friend who keeps asking me about it. She's very curious, and she keeps asking me, what do you do in public though? And I say, here's your answer, Angie. So in public, even if you don't want to go to the sink and rinse it out, just use some toilet paper and like try to get as much blood as you can and put it back inside. Clean it when you can. Don't do anything you're uncomfortable doing, but just wiping it with toilet paper will be enough until you can get to a sink. And she's also said, what if little bits of toilet paper rip off and it's really crappy toilet paper? Just wad it up. Try not to let any fibers stick to it. If they do, just pull it off. You're going to be safe. It's okay. And there's just so many different types of cups out there. The Diva cup, I think, is the most widely used brand. It was the first one I heard of, but now there's so many types. There's Moon Cup and Luna Cup and Lunette and so many different types. So I encourage you to just, try something out, find what feels good. And I hope that some of you take this advice and see what benefits it has. And it's truly great. Recommend it 100%. If you have any more questions or comments about it, feel free to leave it in the comment section below, and have a great day.